Good morning. Today I will discuss about the shock. Shock is very important because it is a life-threatening condition. So it is very important to know its etiology and pathogenesis. Because I have already told you that it is a life-threatening clinical syndrome of cardiovascular collapse, which is characterized by an acute reduction of effective circulating blood volume, that we call it as hypotension, and or there may be inadequate perfusion of cells and tissues, that is called hyperperfusion. So either due to reduction in effective circulating blood volume, that is called hypotension, and due to adequate perfusion of cells and tissues, that is called hypoperfusion. So due to these two conditions, there may be cardiovascular collapse which lead to shock. And when there is hypotension and there is hypoperfusion, if it is uncompensated, this mechanism may lead to impaired cellular metabolism, which may lead to death. So generally our body compensated this reduction in circulating blood volume and hypoperfusion, but if it is uncompensated, then this mechanism may lead to impaired cellular metabolism, which may lead to death. So by definition, that is, we call it a true or secondary shock. This is a circulatory imbalance between oxygen supply and oxygen requirement at the cellular level, and in another word it is also called as circulatory shock. So true or secondary shock, there is when there is imbalance between oxygen supply and oxygen demand at cellular level. So that is called circulatory shock, and this is the true shock or secondary shock. There is always imbalance between oxygen supply and oxygen demand. Another term is initial or primary shock. This term is used for transient and usually benign vasovagal attack, which results from sudden reduction of venous return to the heart, which may be caused by neurogenic vasodilatation and consequent peripheral pooling of blood, that is due to trauma, severe pain or emotional overreaction. You might have observed when the blood sample is drawn, some patient get fainted. That is the primary shock. That is also another called a vasovagal attack. When we sprinkle some water, they regain the consciousness. So there is transient loss of consciousness, and the symptoms are this lasts for a few seconds or minutes, and the symptoms are they develop brief unconsciousness, they may feel weakness, there may be sinking sensation, pale and clammy limbs, the limbs will be very cold, and there will be, if you examine the pulse, that may be weak and rapid, and there may be low blood pressure. So this is called initial or primary shock, and it is very much reversible. There is no threat to life. But the secondary shock and true shock, that is due to imbalance between oxygen supply and oxygen demand at cellular level, and that's why it is called circulatory shock. Now coming to the classification and etiology of shock. The classification depends upon the etiological factors, so these both are combined now to classify the shock based on the etiology. So though two or more factors may be involved in causation of true shock or secondary shock, so a simple etiologic classification of shock syndrome divides into three major types, though there are other types of shock, but major types are mainly three. So first one is hypovolemic shock, Second is cardiogenic shock. Third is septic or toxemic shock, and there are other types of shock. So coming to hypovolemic shock, which results from the naturally there is inadequate circulatory blood volume. There are so many etiological factors, so that may results due to either loss of whole blood, that is red cell mass and plasma both, whole blood will be lost, and there may be loss of plasma volume alone. I will come into detail in the next slide. What are the causes of, what are the conditions where there is hypovolemic shock. Now in the cardiogenic shock, that is due to acute circulatory failure with sudden fall in cardiac output due to acute diseases of heart without actual reduction of blood volume. There is blood volume is normal, that is normovolemia, but due to heart disease there may be circulatory failure which lead to sudden fall in cardiac output, and that may lead to again low blood pressure or hypovolemia. So in this case blood volume is normal, there is no reduction in blood volume, but due to disease of heart the heart cannot pump, heart cannot fill the blood, so there may be deficient emptying, deficient filling, and there is maybe obstruction to the outflow which may lead to acute circulatory failure. Now coming to septic or toxemic shock, that may be due to severe bacterial infection, that is called septicemia, that induce septic shock which may result from gram negative organism or gram positive organism. Then in other types of shock, so there may be traumatic shock which results from trauma. Trauma also results, if there is severe injury, there is severe blood loss, then again that lead to hypovolemia. But trauma has been given more importance in causes of shock. Then another is neurogenic shock, that results from the interruption of sympathetic vasomotor supply which may lead to hypotension. Then there is hypoadrenal shock which results from unknown adrenal insufficiency. So these are the main classification based on the etiology of the shock. So that is hypovolemic shock due to loss of blood volume, cardiogenic shock due to disease in the heart, septic shock due to bacterial infection, and in other types that is traumatic, neurogenic and hypoadrenal shock. Now coming to the details of this hypovolemic shock, I have already told you that it may be due to whole blood loss, that is red cell mass and plasma, and or it may be due to loss of plasma alone. So most common cause is the acute hemorrhage. There may be dehydration from vomiting and diarrhea. Here only plasma is lost from the body, no blood loss. Then burns, again plasma is lost. Then excessive use of diuretics, then again plasma is lost from the volume is lost from the body. And there may be acute pancreatitis. In case of acute pancreatitis, there may be, in severe cases, there may be necrosis of the pancreas which may lead to blood loss from the pancreas, leaking of the blood volume which may lead to hypovolemic shock. Now coming to cardiogenic shock, that may be due to, I have already told that it may be deficient emptying. It means the blood from heart cannot be emptied properly, and there may be deficient filling of the blood to the heart, and there may be obstruction to outflow. In these three cases, that may lead to acute circulatory failure. So in case of deficient emptying, that may be due to myocardial infarction or any cardiomyopathies, the disease of the muscles of the heart, and in some cases if there is rupture of heart, ventricle or papillary muscles, so that may lead to deficient emptying which may lead to acute circulatory failure. And also cardiac arrhythmia is also another cause of deficient emptying. Then deficient filling, that is cardiac tamponade from hemopericardium, if there is hemopericardium, there is accumulation of blood in the pericardial cavity, so that cause pressure on the heart, which may lead to deficient filling of the blood into the heart, which may lead to again acute circulatory failure. Then obstruction to outflow that may be due to pulmonary embolism, that may be due to ball valve thrombosis, mainly mitral valve and tricuspid valve, and there may be tension pneumothorax. In case of pneumothorax, there is leaking of air between the lungs and the chest wall, that may lead to obstruction of the outflow of the blood from the heart. And if there is dissecting aortic aneurysm, there may be again obstruction to the outflow due to swelling of the aorta. Now coming to the septic shock, that may be, I have already told you, that may be due to gram positive organism, or that may be due to gram negative organism, or that may be due to fungi. So gram negative septicemia, we call it as endotoxic shock, that is cause is 52% shock is caused by the gram negative septicemia, and 47% that is due to gram positive organism, gram positive septicemia, that is we call it as exotoxic shock, and only 1% due to fungi. So most common gram negative organisms are Pseudomonas, Escherichia coli, and Haemophilus. Similarly, in gram positive septicemia, that may be due to most common organism is the Staphylococcus aureus, Enterococci, and Streptococcus pneumonia. And the most common fungal species, Candida species, which may cause the septic shock. Then in other types, that is, I have already told, that is traumatic shock, neurogenic shock, and the hypoadrenal shock. So in traumatic shock, that may be due to severe injuries. If there is severe injury due to trauma, that may be blood loss. If there is surgery with marked blood loss, and if there is any obstetrical trauma. In these three cases, most common trauma which may cause the traumatic shock. Neurogenic shock, if there is high cervical spinal cord injuries, and if there is accidental high spinal anesthesia, in both the causes, that may cause neurogenic shock. And if there is severe head injuries, in these three cases, there may be neurogenic shock. Then in case of hypoadrenal shock, if there is administration of high dose of glucocorticoids, that may lead to hypoadrenal shock. And there may be some causes which cause the secondary adrenal insufficiency. So that may be due to tuberculosis, any metastatic diseases, bilateral adrenal hemorrhage, and idiopathic adrenal atrophy. So in these cases, there may be secondary adrenal insufficiency that may lead to hypoadrenal shock. So this completes the classification and etiology of shock. In the next class, I will discuss about the pathogenesis of shock. Thank you.